welcome to A New View. We are so glad you've joined us. You might be saying, the panel looks a little different today. Well, we gave Kim the day off. She's out of town, but we have a very special guest, Kristin Bonin, right?
Hi.
Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, Kristin Bonin has wrote an amazing book. As you can tell, I didn't like it very much.
She only loves it a little bit.
I only love it a lot, and I know you're going to love it. I have so many great things in this book, but we want to definitely introduce Kristin to you and tell you a little bit about her book, Bare Naked Truths. There, we said the word naked again.
That's right.
What's up with that?
Just making sure you're
listening. Bare Naked Truths, and it's stripping away the lies that derail your destiny.
Yes.
So welcome, Kristin. We're so glad that you joined us.
Thank you.
We're so excited because this book, you know, I loved her tagline right away. When Stephanie was telling me about it, derail your destiny. Well, that's something I say all the time to my kids for their choices, for their purity. I say, you know, we don't want to derail our destiny, but looking at it in stripping away the lies, because, you know, we've done this show about don't buy the lie and replacing the lies with the truth.
Right.
But I love stripping away the lies that derail our destiny because they really can do that.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit. Okay, so we'll just tell a little bit of backstory of how we know each other. Our girls go to school together.
Yes.
And I was so excited when your book came out.
Yes.
And I have enjoyed reading it so much. Just like
you.
Michelle, it's a devotional. So tell us about why you chose the topic and why you chose a devotional format for it.
There's so many answers wrapped in that one. I'll keep it really short. First of all, can I bunny trail to say that just meeting these two ladies, there's nothing that's more helpful and effective in a woman's life than having sisters that come alongside you and say, you can do this, you're doing a great job, keep going. And so thank you, ladies, for having me on the show and being those for me, because it's been monumental. It's been huge to have just support and having you speak life into what the Lord's calling me to do. So thank you.
Welcome.
Back on the topic of the book, for the past 6 years, I have been a teaching pastor. I've since resigned to write and do some speaking. But I have counseled countless women over the past 5-6 years on different things that they're dealing with day to day. Some things were very little, some things were huge and monumental. And what I found in the course of counseling women from age 15 to 85, we are all dealing with the same things, and we are all believing lies, including myself. And so that's just a little bit of a backstory. Why would you write a book like this? Because I really have had to fight very hard to strip these lies off of myself so that I could stay focused on not necessarily what God is calling me to do, but who He's calling me to be. And so that's really why I wrote it in the first place. Of course, you do everything because the Lord tells you to and leads you in that direction.
And that's good because we do inner healing with Restored Ministries, and really when we follow some other formats, the Christian Healing Ministries, some of the Bethel, some of the different teachers of inner healing, Sozo, things like that. But bottom line, what we do is when we're meeting with people or counseling with them, we're really just identifying the lies that they've believed and replacing those lies with His transformational truths. That's really how we help people live restored mind, body, and soul. So I love that. Like you said, it doesn't matter if you're 16 to 85, we all deal with the same thing.
All of us.
Things.
Well, and I think for us, as I've told different people about the book, and we even shared this in the car before we showed up today, saying that you're believing a lie, like recognizing that, well, why am I believing this?
Right.
I think for us, we surely are more aware. It doesn't make it necessarily easier for us to combat these lies, but there's an awareness of, well, I'm believing this about this situation, and I need to get to the root of the why, and I need to, you know, if this is continually happening, what's at the bottom? Where's the bottom line with this? But what I'm finding is if someone is not maybe on the same journey as I am, how, you know, I still can recommend the book to that person, and because it's set in devotional format, and the different subjects, if you look through the table of contents, are subjects that even someone who may not have picked up the book to say, oh, I'm believing a lie about this, but they're drawn to the subject of growth or God or unwholesome talk or fear. And as you read it, I know when I've heard you, we've talked about this book in other settings, you'll tell women, you know, that you wanted to get these points across within 5 to 10 minutes a day. Okay, and that's so true. But can I tell you that the impact is so much longer?
Oh, yes.
I mean, when you read through the stuff, you're sharing some of your stories, and then you're putting biblical truth in there, and then you're putting these one-liners that Michelle and I both are like, are you kidding me? We're basically rewriting the book in our journals. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so good. I've got to put this on Facebook.
Yeah, if you're a Twitter person, or if you love quotes, which I love quotes, and I think that's why I love Bible verses. I'm a quote person. I love quotes. I love one-liners in Twitter. I mean, I'm telling you, this book, look at all these little, I mean, I'm like, I'm going to tweet the heck out of this. I mean, this is,
it's
I love
really...
that.
We're always like going to toot the horn of the person that comes on our show. That's just because we invited you.
Right.
But there's so much truth in this book, and it's so revealing of what we are thinking as women, and we're just not saying it. We're not turning the light on and being like, dude, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm struggling with. And to have you come along in a book where we can sit and just read it and be like, oh my gosh, she totally gets it. Like, I totally understand that. Like, that is why I have loved this book so much. And as we've talked to different women about reading it, I've just shared that I keep a journal with mine. Because, I mean, hello, you can tell this one, like, totally marks stuff in hers.
I marked it up.
But if you're going to sit down and devote some time to studying something, why, do it purposeful and have a little journal and just write a couple things each day that you feel like resonated with you. You know, what is God trying to show you? And that's what I love about this. This is a great tool. I think you could do a workbook with it.
Yes.
But even
that's a
we
great
don't
idea.
have a workbook yet, but we can do our own journaling and asking, because there is so much in here. And that's what we're trying to, we're all about, like, this book is amazing. And the other thing that, tell them about where her proceeds are going. I don't want to take all your...
Oh, yes. No, but this is really, the proceeds from your book, you have decided to do what with the proceeds from the book?
Well, through prayer and just what I felt like the Lord was telling me to do is this is my first book that I've ever written, and I felt like He gave me the word first fruits and to give those back to Him. And so the proceeds of the book will go to an organization named Elijah Rising, which you may or may not be familiar with, to help fight human trafficking.
Yeah, and they're an amazing organization. I love the organization. I've supported them. I've done the Cypress Rising and the van tours, and we've talked about that, and that's a great, so I love it anyway, and I bought, 4 extra copies for gifts, and we might even do a little giveaway on our Facebook page, so y'all be listening. Y'all be listening, and we'll tell you how maybe you can get your own copy. But like you said, I did this... I mean, I was just like, I cannot put this down. But the very first thing on page 1, it says, great danger in believing just any voice, because we become what we believe.
Yes.
And on a day in and day out basis, we are bombarded with the voices of others. Everybody has an opinion of what we're doing or how we should do something. And I love that you said there's great danger in believing just any voice.
There is.
And we become what we believe.
And I think that it's important to know that when the enemy comes at you, he will come at you not to target, again, what you're doing. He wants who you are.
Exactly.
He's going to target your identity.
That's good.
And he wants more than even that. He wants you to question who God is.
Exactly.
And so if he can get you to question who God is, who the Lord is, who Jesus is, he will get you to question yourself.
That's good.
Hands down, every time.
That's really
good. The second little nugget drop, if Kim was here, we'd be all about nugget drops, but I'm actually going to be probably hashtagging nugget drops and using several of these. But the second one was page 2. I love this. When we are silent, God can speak. And you talk about the holy hush.
I know.
Oh, I love
so
that.
Good. Yes, I highlighted that. That was really, really good.
Because we've got to get, like we were talking last week, that closer connection, that time of journaling, soaking, prayer. We've got to be still. We've got to practice that holy hush. And then I loved on page 4, I mean, you're a Southern girl, so I love how you talk in the Southern stuff. It says, we've spent enough time flirting with untruths and unbeliefs.
Absolutely.
I love that, no more flirting with that. But on page 9, there was something that just stood out to me.
Let's go to it.
Page 9, there was something there that I just loved because, I'm writing a book. I've written 8 this year, but we're working on Call to Valor, and it's about different acts, people in the Bible that did courageous acts that maybe people didn't think looked courageous. And there was something on page 9 that you said, and it says, one common denominator exists among all the great heroes of the Bible. They were not imprisoned by their imperfections. And that just, I love it. It said their story became his story, because how many times do we talk about that? We become imprisoned by trying to act like we have it all together, or to put this whole perfection. So I love that they were not imprisoned by their imperfections. Actually, God can use our imperfections, and he can just make something beautiful, and let us, answer that call to valor and do courageous things for him. Because that, I just love that.
I put the word courage on top of that when I highlighted it, that is courage.
That is courage.
I love that. I love that you shared that. That's really, really
and
good.
And on page, I think it's page 11. This was just so good, and I'm going to have to go to the book there. But
my favorite topic.
Oh my goodness.
So what is it? It's comparison.
It's on comparison.
Okay.
Yes. And why was it your favorite topic?
I fought it my whole life, and I think as women we fight it. I'm going to be as audacious to say as we fight it daily. I really do feel like, and social media is not helping us.
No,
it's not. No. We look at people's highlight reels and think that that's everybody's life. I mean, I'm an identical twin, so of course comparison has been my entire life. Comparing. And then I have twins, and I've fought really hard not to. I mean, they're boy-girl twins, but not to compare them. They're each unique and individuals. But you have a great little start up here. It says comparison sets us back, but confidence sets us apart. And it's that Godfidence, I call it. Not just confidence, it's God, who we know who we are in God. That gives us the Godfidence that we need.
Absolutely.
That's ultimately, but there's something here that it says here. It says, read from the book. And let me just make sure that I did that. And it might be just the comparison sets us back. Confidence sets us apart, but someone else's win is not your defeat. And how many times I know, actually, I mean, I'm going to just be real and raw and honest and things like that. When I would see my friends that said, oh, I just finished my new book, there would be something in me that said, I need to get my butt to the chair. I haven't finished it. I haven't done it. I know God's called me to write a book, but I haven't done it. And so there would be this little bit of like, a little defeat, and every time I would feel defeated, like I haven't done that. Somebody else has done that, and really, that's true. That comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes,
it is the comparison, trying to compare yourself. So I love that you said someone else's win is not our defeat.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's a mindset shift
that we
have to make as women.
Yes,
that we are here to cheer each other on. We're all walking our own separate journeys. God has separate things for all of us.
Right.
But if I start focusing on what Stephanie's doing,
you're missing out on what you're called.
Right.
I missed it. Missed it.
And I relate it back to, I shared this story not too long ago from when I was competing. One of the years that the girl that I had competed with we'd already been together for 3 years. She was one of my closest friends. And when it was the two of us at the end, when they were about to call Miss Texas USA, it was going to be one of us. Let's just say you and I were holding hands.
Okay.
And it got very quiet, and I felt, at the time I didn't realize it was the Lord, but it was the Lord saying, not yet. And they called her name to win.
Wow.
And in that moment, I was so happy for her. And it wasn't until after that, when I saw the man that had been helping me, Don Baker, I was crying, and he was like, why are you crying? And he was like, you didn't lose, she won. Like she was doing, it doesn't take anything away from what you've done or she's done. She won, but that doesn't mean that there was nothing in that for you.
Exactly.
And I felt the Lord tell me, just not yet, which means it's coming.
Yes.
Right.
And so I've had that experience, and it was a big revelation. And so anytime not anytime, but many times when I feel that wanting to, like what you're talking about, where you knew there was a book coming and you hadn't done it yet, if I feel that, it is almost like a little ping in my spirit. Well, she's just doing something that you want to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. Be happy for her, because her time is now. Yours is coming. If that's what's meant to be, it'll come. And it just helps you experience joy. And I work on teaching Sophia that she naturally has a lot of joy for people, but I want her to understand you're not always going to be number one, or you're not always going to excel in this. And we talk so much to her about having grit, and I think one of your books talks about, one of your subjects hits on that we have to have grit. Grit comes from not getting what you want right away.
Yes.
Not getting what you want for a while. Maybe getting something else and struggling through that.
Right.
So we have to remember, like, I love that you share that because that's so real.
That is.
And if you were to use that to get you down and to paralyze you or to
would
separate
never
you
do
from
it.
that person, that's
would never
I
do
mean,
it.
yeah, you would. It's
that heart
there's
check.
such a
That
loss
heart
in
would be
that.
so clogged with all that gunk.
yes, that's
Yes.
good.
And then you talk about criticism on page 22, and
yay.
it says calling comes with critics, and there are a lot of critics
that is
out
a good
there.
one, yes.
But I loved what you put after that, and you said man's opinions should be filtered, not followed. And y'all know the quirky thing I talk about opinions in my dad's quote. It's not really nice, but it's true. And things, but man's opinions should be filtered, but not followed. I mean, and I do that when somebody gives me something, and there are people that just love to give. Just they think that their opinions are just like, "Ooh, let me tell you what I think."
They don't even realize they're that.
And I don't
true.
because I used to be a person that stuffed my emotions, and when they would say something, I would take it to heart, and I would just weigh on it, weigh on
I
it.
struggle with
And
that
now I'm
sometimes,
like,
for sure.
thank you very much for sharing that. I'll take that to the, or I'll just say, nod, thank you. But I take it to the Lord, and I go, whatever truth's in this, if you need me to
Perfect.
change it,
Yes.
whatever. But if
Yes.
it's not,
Yep.
Bye, Felicia. on
bye
that.
bye.
Right.
And
That's
things.
right.
And then
That is
page
right.
37. Oh my goodness. Page 37. I've always talked about this because perception can be so full of deception is what I tell
That's
people.
good.
But I love how she put perspective imprisons or empowers you.
Yeah.
And the process is a part of the promise. We can either become bitter or brave, blessed or burdened.
Can you believe you wrote all these things, girl?
I don't think I did. That's the thing.
so
Oh, they're so good. But
Okay,
you know that
repeat that
heavenly
one because it's
yes.
good.
Because
Okay.
we were hashtagging heavenly perspective. You know, look at things
Yes.
from a higher plane.
I love
And I
that.
always say,
You have
you know,
to.
perception is so full of deception. You
It
really
is.
got to take it to the Lord because
Yeah.
what something looks like initially may not be. You know,
That's
that
true.
person may not, you know, unfairly be rejecting you. They may just have a whole lot on their mind or different things. And
Yeah.
it's like, they dished me or whatever. But if
Yes.
you're always
Yeah.
looking at whatever's lovely, whatever's true, whatever's
Yes.
noble, I love that. But you said perspective can either imprison us or empower us.
Yes.
And it says that you can become bitter or brave, blessed or burdened. It's how you look at it. It's
is.
definitely how you look about it. And I think it really comes down to page 47 too. A lot of perspective, we have to look in rejection. And I love that you did this topic. You know, rejection, I've talked about rejection as being God's ultimate protection. It's
true.
really true. But in Kristin's book, I just love this. I love this. And it says, what people cast aside, God keeps close.
Yes.
And I loved that little nugget, but there's a little thing here on page 49 that says, a no to our heart is an opportunity to welcome a
love this
no, K-N-O-W,
Yes.
from God, to know him more intimately.
Yeah.
And I love this. And it said, God will allow our soul to ache if it means we find him in our despair. And I know I've walked that in my own life.
Absolutely.
And I love it. And it says, we must dare to hurt if we are to truly be healed.
Yes.
And I walked through a huge wounding almost 2 years ago, a little year and a half ago. And I was just like, I can see that rejection was God's protection. I know that, but I loved your words here. I thought, oh my goodness, this will sing.
So let me ask you this too, because I'm almost done with the book, and I've gotten to know you better as we've
Yes.
talked more about it, and we're doing stuff together for it. I know a lot of these stories come from somewhere.
Of course.
Right? Do you want to share any of that? Like why?
Yeah.
You know, how have you come to use what has hurt you in this way? Like, how did you get to that place in that process?
I think it's, first of all, it's a lifetime of different places, but I think I can speak for most writers that and even speakers, a lot of our messages come from our deepest pains.
Right.
Yeah.
And the most hurtful moments, if we are brave enough to say, okay, Lord, hold me close and teach me. What
good.
can I learn
That's
in
really
this
good.
moment? What can I learn in this moment? I am pressing into you. And sometimes it's as simple as, I love you.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm enough for you. You're enough for me. I love you. And that's enough to sustain you through whatever you're going through,
Right.
period. End of story. And sometimes that's the best lesson. But yes, I have faced so much rejection in my life. And a lot of where this was written from specifically was a lot of church hurt that I was walking through at the time. And just not understanding why certain things were happening. And it's sometimes very hard to wrap your mind around. We all expect Christians to act and be a certain way, and that's unrealistic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are broken just like the world is broken.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We are hurted.
We are
It's a
hurted.
new word.
New word, hurted. We
Hashtag hurted.
hurted. If you've been hurted, we got it.
We are hurt and wounded just like anybody else.
Yeah.
And God will use that so that we can teach people how to walk through that in grace. And I think that getting freedom from all of this, you are not free until you have learned to stand in the middle of pain and rejection and still look the Lord in the eyes and say, you know what, you are sufficient, and I can stand through this, and my circumstance does not have to change for my freedom to be there, for me to be abundantly free in the middle of any storm.
Exactly.
Yes, that's so
And
good.
I wrote about it, hold on loosely to anything and anyone but God. And he will put us in those set apart seasons and to tell us, what am I teaching you here? If I had not learned to release those hurts instead of keep rehearsing them, then I would have become bitter and not become brave. I would have looked at my burdens and been clouded, and I couldn't have seen my blessings because I now see those things in a much different way, just kind of like
so
segueing
good.
into page 58 is moving on. Sometimes he will call the gift of goodbye is a good thing sometimes.
Yes, it is.
And I love how you say, if we stay stuck in what was, you'll miss what is and we'll never see what could be. And I was stuck, but God was so loving, and I clung to him and said, what do you want to teach me through all this?
Yes.
Where's my part in this? What could I have done? What did I do differently? And he really clearly said I was holding the opinions of certain people higher than I was being obedient to him. And so those people had to move. And I'm telling you, when I was ready to move on, like your day 11 says, moving on, when I said, okay, Lord, this hurts. I don't like this. I'm going to move on. I'm going to trust you. I can't tell you the blessings that just blew up.
Freedom.
And things.
Freedom.
Yes.
And then we had a show that said the dreams take hustle. Remember that? And I even have a necklace that says dreams take hustle. And page 63, you talk about God's plan works when we do, and that dreams take hustle. Because a lot of times people think that just the book falls into your lap, the ministry falls into your lap, Miss Texas falls into your lap. All these things just fall into your lap. But you were talking about grit a while ago. It takes some grit. It takes, so tell us a little bit about your idea behind dreams take hustle.
I think if you are to look at pick one, I keep calling them Bible heroes. They were real men and women.
Right.
But pick one person in the Bible that you admire. They had to have some tenacity behind them, and they had to stay consistent. And sometimes I feel like that's even a test from the Lord is, are you going to walk away? Are you going to give up? Think about when Jesus looked at his disciples and he was like, well, will you leave too? Everybody else is leaving. Who's going to stay put? Who's going to stay grounded? Who's going to stay rooted in the Word and in prayer and in His presence? Because that's the process. That's where we're developed.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then I love page 120. Page 120 where you say, I love all things real. We love everything that's, all things that are real. But in this...
so this is the chapter on insecurity.
It's insecurity, I believe, and it's insecurities not faced by a holy God become reality.
Every time.
And you put talking about the behind the scene bloopers at the end of the movies, and it says those are your favorites, but you love all things real, because we were just talking about social media and different things like that people will put their best out there.
Absolutely.
And they're not comfortable with the raw and the real, but I love all things real. I mean, I loved that. And you have some great
I wanted to add
nuggets
something
on those.
to that insecurity chapter. So she taught, or from what you put in here, in fact, this is so true. Okay. And I know if you are watching you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. The infection of insecurity is contagious.
Yes.
When we're insecure, we have the ability to pull out insecurities of others. Those who don't feel like they are enough will intentionally or unintentionally make others feel like they're not enough either.
Yes.
And I just want to put emphasis on the unintentionally, because I think a lot of us do that as women, not even realizing. You're tapping on my insecurity.
Yes.
So I'm just going to like make you feel bad too.
Yes.
Or, and when you're aware of what's going on,
Yes.
when you've done some of the work, you can see it happening, and you can see things going into motion, and you're just, you know, you can see it getting out of hand too. And I like, this was something I remember thinking that this was a different way to look at this. You said, where there is a soul full of insecurity, there is a heart filled with pride.
Yes.
I love that.
The root of insecurity is pride, and what an ugly monster that is.
Right.
I didn't naturally look at one of the roots or the root of insecurity being pride, but it is.
Yes,
I also remember reading a quote somewhere that insecurity is loud.
It is
Yes.
very
That
loud.
it is loud. And
It
that
is
I
loud.
remember reading
That's
that one
good.
time and thinking, wow, I had never looked at it that way.
Absolutely.
Okay, so good stuff, girl.
And on
Good
page
stuff.
121, she goes, I mean, we
Okay.
have time restraints, but she has a whole list here of some
Yes.
behaviors that
Oh, yeah.
lack,
That show-
reveal a lack
yeah.
of confidence. Really good, you know, talking about constant complaining, negativity, isolating, overly available or people pleasing, but also lack of boundaries. You know, we're worthy of boundaries. We've got to do
Yes.
those boundaries.
And can we just say
Yes.
that we have all struggled with this
Yes.
stuff and
Every
are
single
still
one of us.
struggling?
Yes.
All of
So
us.
that
Yes.
is why we
Yes.
love the book, because it's helping us.
Yes.
We see our own truth, our own struggles in this. And so I'm all about, like I've told her before, like, girl, I could talk all day about this thing because I'm reading it from a place of like, oh, I've been there. Oh,
Yes.
I am there.
Me too.
You know, it's not,
Yeah.
you're not ever, what I love is you don't, even in the book and when you're talking about this stuff, you're never pointing the finger.
No.
Oh,
It's
no.
always here, and it's always like, this is what I've dealt with.
Right.
I want to help you.
Yes.
And that speaks volumes to people, and I love that.
Yes.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
And we were talking about pride in the last one, but also I loved on your chapter on humility, because a lot of people are like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm,
Where's
I'm
that at?
humble,"
I
you
don't
know.
have it
It's
marked.
it's page 140.
Okay.
Actually,
Oh, I
and
haven't
were
gotten there
talking-
yet.
Yeah, it's 139. It starts on, but it says
okay.
when God changes our hearts, we change the world.
Yes.
And kind of like what I was
That's good.
sharing, when we're comparing and we're thinking, oh, that, or we're being overly insecure and it's pride and different things like that, you can't celebrate others well.
No.
You can't. And I love because on the last page, 144,
Oh,
you
yeah.
put celebrate others and shares credit.
Yes.
Because I love to tell people, I want to see
Yes.
you succeed. Do you want to
Yes,
write?
you
Hey,
are very
I'll
good
feature
about
you
that.
on my blog. You know, we
Yeah.
have guest bloggers. I'll do that. Oh, I want to set up a page and start praying for people. This is how you set up a Facebook page.
Yes.
I think, I mean, there's enough room at the table for all of us.
There's so many empty seats at the table.
Exactly,
Oh,
because they're
that's
too
good.
focused on, well, they already did my idea. Well, God gives you creativity.
Yes.
You can do that a little bit differently.
Yes.
But when we're humble, when we celebrate, and I will have to tell you, I worked in the corporate world, and I saw a lot of competition. But I'm telling you, in the Christian circles, there is a lot. And
There's
so
a lot.
celebrating others, shares
Yes.
credit, that's humility. But we're out of time for our first episode. But stay tuned, because episode 2, we're bringing Kristin back. She's going to be with us again, and we're going to unpack more of these wonderful truths in her book. So we hope you've enjoyed A New View. Get your copy of Bare Naked Truths. You'll see on the bottom of your screen, she has her website there, and we're going to tell you more information and more great nugget drops from this great book. Take care.